Hello. In this video, we want to use a cofunction identity to find the exact value of the following. Well, if we look at this, we want to do sine of 5 pi over 12 and sine of 15 degrees. And we don't know any identities that we can use for sine yet. But we can write sine in terms of cosine because of the cofunction identity that let's go up here, there we go, sine of pi over 2 minus u is equal to cosine of u. Now, if I think of this, I can write sine of 5 pi over 12 as, or 5 pi over 12 as the following. So we have 5 pi over 12 is equal to pi over 2 minus u. Now, if I want to solve for u, I can add u to both sides. So that's 5 pi over 12 is equal to pi over 2. And then, of course, just subtract the u plus that is equal to pi over 2. And then subtract the 5 pi over 12, so u would just be pi over 2 minus 5 pi over 12, which we can simplify as 6 pi over 12 minus 5 pi over 12, so it gives us pi over 12. Now, why is that helpful? Because if sine of this is equal to cosine of u, that means that this sine of 5 pi over 12 is going to be equal to the the cosine of what we just figured out, pi over 12. In other words, pi over 2 minus this will give us cosine. Awesome. And at this point, you just simplify. Now, we've actually done cosine of pi over 12 before, because we know that cosine of alpha and then plus or minus beta is equal to cosine alpha cosine beta minus plus sine alpha sine beta. And then if we want pi over 12, we can write that as pi over 3 minus pi over 4. Which is the same thing as the cosine of pi over 3 times cosine of pi over 4, then plus sine of pi over 3 sine pi over 4. And then just simplify. Cosine pi over 3 is 1/2. Cosine pi over 4 is root 2 over 2, my apologies. And then plus sine pi over 3 is root 3 over 2, times sine pi over 4 is root 2 over 2, which of course simplifies to root 2 plus root 6 all over 4. So this is simplified. Yep, that is the exact value. So in fact, that tells me that sine of 5 pi over 12 is equal to all of that. Excellent. So what I did is I used a cofunction identity to go from sine into cosine. And then I used the cosine of a sum or difference. And I can do the same thing for sine of 15 degrees. And let's go here. So sine of 15 degrees would be the same thing as sine of 90 degrees minus, now what gives us 15 degrees? In other words, what's 90 minus 15? Well, that would be 75. Which of course tells me that using the cofunction identity, this is cosine of 75 degrees. Excellent. And at that point, you just simplify. You can do that as cosine of 30 plus 45 if you want. Which would be cosine of 30 degrees, cosine 45 degrees, minus sine 30 degrees, sine 45 degrees. And then simplify. Cosine 30 is root 3 over 2. Cosine 45 is root 2 over 2. Then minus sine 30 is 1/2, and sine 45 is root 2 over 2, which simplifies to root 6 minus root 2 all over 4. So that is sine of 15 degrees. Alrighty. Well, I believe that's it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and I will see you in the next one. Have fun.